So do you want to know more about realistic operations for model railroading? So why don't you stick around and watch how we run the SA-31 on my Sayrehurst secondary and scale model railroad. Hello everyone, Joe from Central Jersey Conrail and N-Scale. Welcome back to our operations series. Today we're going to be running the SA-31 down in the Freehold to work the Weyerhaeuser lumber and the Team Track and Prestone antifreeze. So last time we were together, we ran the SA-37 down the Sayrehurst secondary and serviced in Lakewood and Lakehurst. So as with all my operations videos, I like going back over the comments and questions from before. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first comment, just going right down off the list. First one was from Mike O'Brien. And Mike gave me some advice, and what he was saying was on the Form D, when we asked for that track from Toth down to Route 9, I didn't have to do another Form D. I could have went right off of the additional lines under line 2. There's 3 additional lines, and you can add additional track to that Form D. So that way, when the whole Form D is canceled, all of those subsequent lines underneath is also canceled. So that was a good tip from Mike, so thank you, and I appreciate it because Mike seems to have a little more knowledge than I do with the Form D, so thank you very much, Mike. And Mike Simmons also commented, and he was very happy and impressed with the way that we're sticking with the EOT device. And he was saying maybe we can look into something with putting like some kind of DCC decoder in there to control EOT device on each end, and we can turn one off and turn the other on so I don't have to keep flipping around. So I really like that idea, Mike, and I'm going to look into it, and there'll be more to come in the future. And then also on the lines of the EOT device, Leona Lumber Company. He commented on, why are you messing around with, having to worry about turning it? Why don't you just put like a red car or red card on the top of the freight car and use that to be the marker? So then I just have to move that marker from car to car and not have to worry about toting around a car. So I understand what you're saying, and I can appreciate that, but I really like the flashing light. I just think it adds a nice little animation to the to operations, so I really want to stick with that. But I really appreciate you chiming in, so thanks. And the other question came from Tess Squirrel. I hope I'm saying that right. TEH_squirrel. He was asking, how are we going to determine what cars are overweight and what are not? And as I indicated, what I'm going to be doing is eventually going to be putting in the Boulder Creek Engineering scale, and that does it automatically. It's got a computer logic in it that randomly generates numbers to pick out an overweight car, and you can set your ratio if you want 1 in 50 or 1 in 20 or 1 in 10 or something like that. But he also, Tess Squirrel also recommended something that I really love the idea, and I'm going to use it until then. And what he was saying, hey, why don't you just use one of them 20-sided die that you get for like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff and roll that to every time you weigh the car. So I think that's an awesome idea, and can't believe I never thought of that. Thank you very much, Tess Squirrel. Thank you. And so anybody out there who's watching this, if you're not going to be putting in the scale and you want some little other way of determining a fault, I think it would also be a great idea for a default defect detector, a scale. Is just get one of them die, run it through, pick a spot for your detector or your scale, and drag those cars through there with a locomotive. And every time you hit that spot, roll a die, and you pick a number, and whatever the number is that comes up, if that's the fault, then you have the fault. And if you're doing a defect detector, you could say, if you roll a 5, that's going to be a hot box. If you're going to roll a 10, that's going to be a high car. If you're going to be rolling an 18, that's going to be a dragging equipment. So I think that's a great idea, and I definitely going to get a couple of them fancy 20-sided dies, and I think we're going to start doing that. So thank you very much, Test Squirrel. Okay, and so I'm going over these comments, going back through the list, and I see a comment here from probably, it looks like a week after the video, and it's one I missed. So JFD Rail. Sorry I missed your comment. The software that we're using is an open source software off of Ed Brzezinski's webpage, and that is Conrail 1285. And you can go to that page there, and that's where the software is that's doing those timing sequences. So go check it out. And also, JFD Rail and everybody else out there watching, if I miss your comments, my email, Central Jersey Conrail in scale, leave out the letter IN or the word IN and just go in scale at gmail.com. And I'm going to flash it up on the screen here. If you don't hear from me and I don't answer your questions, shoot me an email. And like I said, I apologize. It's happened in the past. And so just shoot me that email so your questions don't fall through the cracks like that. And so otherwise, those were really the topics to cover, questions and comment wise. Otherwise, everybody else was very enthusiastic about the operations video. So I thank you. Let's see, Train Spotter 11, Neil Perry, 5 Urch Pepper, if I'm saying that right. NS Train Fan, thank you very much. ELSDP 45, thank you as always for commenting and watching. Mike Pfeiffer, thank you very much for watching my video. I know you got tons going on your channel, and thanks for commenting. Bob from DeBob's In-Scale Man Cave, thank you very much for watching. Walt's World, thank you for your comment, and thanks for watching. Ralph Greenberg, thank you very much. I'm going to throw a shout out there to Ralph right now. He's got a channel going on. He's building a layout for the Penn Central. Go over and check out Ralph Greenberg's channel. He's up and coming. He's just getting rolling, so go over and give him some subs. Let's see, who else? Roy from In-Scale Union Pacific Evanston Division. Roy, thank you very much for commenting. Again, another gentleman out there. He's got a great channel. I know you got a ton going on your channel, so thank you for watching my videos. Overland Transportation System. That's Thomas Studo. Again, thank you very much, Thomas, for watching, and thank you for your comments. LS3 Jack, thank you very much. And last but not least, Can't Be RR. Again, thank you for your comments. You guys, I really appreciate it when you watch the videos and you make those comments. Just telling me that you're liking what I'm doing. Because it may seem a little mundane, just saying like the video or whatever. But that just shows me that I'm hitting the mark and I'm hitting these videos right out of the ballpark. Okay, so before we get started and start going over our paperwork on our train, just one quick thing is I changed my mic out for this ops video. I want to see how it works. I noticed in videos that with the wireless body mic, when I get close to the layout or I touch something on the layout, I'm getting that grounding sound, so I get that little buzz in there, and it's nobody's really commented on it, but it's driving me bananas. So I'm going to go with my shotgun mic on the camera. We're going to see how it is and how it works out this time. Okay, so the SA-31 calls out of Brown's Yard. It travels down the Sayrehurst Secondary through Jamesburg, Englishtown, and down into Freehold. So let's go ahead and get going over our paperwork. Okay, so our train today, the SA-31. Again, I decided to take out the SD40 6302 and run that again. It's running really well, so let's give it a shot again today. So let's go over our switch list for today and what work we got to get done. So the first thing we got to do is we got to drop off some center beam cars. 2 center beam cars going to the Freehold lumber and 2 box cars going to the dock at Freehold lumber. Then we have to drop 2 tank cars and a covered hopper over at Prestone, and then 1 box car for the team track. We're picking up 2 box cars at the loading dock at Freehold lumber. We're picking up a tank car and a covered hopper from Prestone, and finally we're picking up the 2 box cars on the team track. So that's our switch list for the day. Now let's go over our Form D. So this is going to be dated February 14th, 1988. This is Form D C107 to C&E number 6302, crew of the WJSA-31. Circle line 2, operate in both directions on single track between Browns and Toth. Dispatcher is JD, and our time effective on the fast clock, we're going to go with 8:16 in the morning. Okay, so before we get rolling, I know that I have 9 cars and we're not going to fit on the runaround here at Freehold. So I need to get track south of Toth. So I'm going to call the dispatcher and we're gonna get we're gonna go south of Toth to Route 88. So on line 2, we're gonna put on single track between Toth and Route 88. Now again, I gotta get around to doing these mileposts so I can put the milepost number in for Route 88. So we're just gonna do that, and just dispatcher is gonna be JD, and the time effective is, we'll just see, 8:35. So now we have the track to our south all the way down to Route 88, so I can pull through. Now what I'm gonna do is we are going to pull the train through. I'm going to drop the 2 tank cars and the 2 hoppers on the main, and then I'm going to drag the rest of the cars with me, and we're going to put the locomotive in the middle, and we're going to work the Prestone antifreeze first. Okay, so we'll uncouple here. So once we're done operating the Prestone, or switching out the Prestone rather, we're going to leave the excess cars in the switch lead on Prestone to make room for me to do the other work. And probably after that we will switch out the team track, and again leaving that boxcar, the empty boxcars, on the front of the team track so we can pick them up on the way out. Alright, so let's move forward and couple up. I just realized those last couple moves I made were without the app. And we'll release the handbrakes. Now we're going to pull forward. And we're going to operate the turnout for the Prestone switching lead. Okay, so I'm going to back in. And pick up those 2 cars in there. Couple and connect. Release the handbrakes on the 2 cars that are there. And we'll pull forward. Alright, so I'm going to uncouple. I'm uncoupling and I'm offsetting the couplers so that I can push it back. In a dirty spot here on the track. So we will set handbrakes on those 2 cars there. Actually, we're just going to set 1. Uncouple. Oh, and it didn't work. Shoot. There we go. The couplers got hung up on the car. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to again uncouple now and push back. Alright, so we will set the handbrakes on the 3 cars. uncouple and pull forward. And again, it didn't work. So uncouple and pull forward. So now I'm going to pick up those two cars off the main and just stick them in there for now. Okay. So now that that's in there out of the way, I will set one handbrake. And we will uncouple and disconnect. So now that leaves me room to run around the train. Kind of a benefit of having that long switch siding in there for press down. All right, so we're going to set two handbrakes. Actually, we'll just set the one because we're going to run right around the train now. Uncouple. Oh, that was the wrong one. Uncouple. Pull forward. Move this turnout. And we'll pull forward now. All right, couple and connect. And release the handbrake on that one car that we set. Okay, so now we can, we're gonna stop and get our paperwork in order. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to update my switch list that we set out the 3 cars at Prestone. I'll mark them off, and that we picked up the 2 cars at Prestone. Okay, so now what I'll do is I will rearrange, get my waybills and car cards out for the 3 cars I dropped. And what I'm going to do is I'll put these in the back because they're staying, and then the 2 cars that I spotted in front to pick up, I'll put them in the in front of the box so I know where they are. And so now we're going to go ahead and we will switch out Freehold lumber. Okay, so train's all ready to move, so let's go ahead and move forward. I will go ahead and drop that box car there because that's for the team track. We don't need to be dragging that around, getting in our way. So I will set the handbrake. Then uncouple and leave that there. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to head back to the loading dock, and we'll pick up them 2 box cars over there. So while we're moving the train and switching, I'm going to talk. So at a family gathering a couple weeks ago, I spoke to my uncles through marriage, William and Frank. They both work for Builders General, and so Builders General is the current owner of this lumberyard here. Prior to that, he told me right after the fire, Builders General bought it, and before that it was Weyerhaeuser. And apparently before Weyerhaeuser, in the time frame before we are modeling, it was Triangle Lumber. So what my uncles were telling me is that Builders General is originally based out of Cranford, New Jersey, and they had expanded and bought this facility after the fire. And in the current configuration now, they have made some kind of agreement with the railroad that they would get a better freight rate to ship all of their lumber in, and then distribute it by truck to the various facilities around New Jersey. So that's Builders General. But they did tell me, my one uncle William was telling me that when he worked for them over in Little Silver, he was telling me pretty much Builders General, they did not like dermage rates. So they would make sure to get that boxcars unloaded, and he would pay overtime instead of paying extra on the freight car. So they always made sure it was done the day it was dropped. And what he was saying is that in the boxcars was actually cut lumber, and the standard length structural lumber came in on I-beam cars, and anything that was cut, like a 6-foot board or an odd size, they were packed in the boxcars. And what he was saying was that they would pack these things to the gills full of lumber. And pretty much it was like you had to pull the first load out before you can even get to the next one. So pretty interesting. So I learned a lot. So now, only thing I need to do is find some people who worked at Weyerhaeuser so I can find out how they ran it. But all right, so we will set some handbrakes. And now we will uncouple. And pull forward. Now these I-beam cars, they look empty, but we're simulating that they're loaded. Sometime very soon I got to get to making some loads up. It's driving me nuts. Alright, we'll push these beams down in here. Alright. Uncouple. It tangled up here. Okay. So our conductor's gonna lock this line and lock the switches on our way out of the facility. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we'll pick up these boxes. And we will pull forward. Okay, so now we're going to back down and hook up to that. Oh, my phone just froze too. Sorry. Pick up that boxcar we left on the main. Release the handbrake. And we're ready to go service the team track. So now let's update our paperwork. Okay, so I'll go ahead and update our switch list, and that's we dropped the 2 center beam cars at Freehold Lumber, and we dropped the 2 box cars, and we picked up the 2 box cars. So now I'm gonna go ahead and get my waybills in order. So I'll pull out the 2 boxcars that we pulled out, and I'll put the 4 cars in that we dropped. I'll take these with me. Okay, so now we're going to work the team track, and then after that we're gonna get our train put back together because we gotta pick up those cars that we left over at Prestone and then do our air tests and finish up. Okay, and we'll back down on the team track. It's not going to couple for some reason. All right, so we will couple and connect the air hoses. Release the air handbrakes. And we will pull forward. All right. We will set a handbrake. Uncouple and move forward. Okay. We will set a handbrake. We will uncouple. Getting away here. And pull forward. And release that handbrake. And we're set to go. Okay, so let's get our paperwork in order. Switch list. We dropped the boxcar and we picked up the 2 empty boxcars off the team track. So let's do our waybills. All right, so out of the bill box, I'm gonna take the 2 empties and I'm gonna drop the load and put that in the box. And I'll take these 2 cards and put them with the rest of the paperwork. All right, so let's back down. First thing we're going to do is we're going to pull that hopper car out. Now we'll uncouple that car and pull forward. Alright, so now we're going to back down and get this put on the main. The reason I want this car in the back is because it's got our end of train device on it. Set the handbrake on that. Uncouple, pull forward. We will now, let's see, we gotta uncouple that cut, of course, pull forward. All right, conductor's gonna line and lock that turnout for the day because we're done. Back down. Okay, couple and connect. Release that handbrake. Okay, so our train's back together. We have to pick up the waybills out of the bill box. Now our paperwork is all in order. So let's go ahead and do our brake test and get ready for the return trip back to Browns. Okay, so we're going to be doing an intermediate test. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars. And we're going to charge the train line. And we're at 90 pounds on the train line. So we're going to set our brakes. We're going to confirm the pressure, 88 pounds at the end of the train line. And now our conductor is going to inspect the brake cars. So our conductor has visually inspected all the cars, the brakes are applied. Now we're going to release the brakes. Brakes are released, and the conductor is going to walk back up the train and ensure that all the brake shoes are released. And our test is successful. We are ready to head back home. Okay, so now that our train's all made up and we're ready to go, we will call the dispatcher, and we will get cancellation of form C107, so we can release the track between Toth and Route 88, and we'll get a new Form D for our ride home and head on back to Browns Yard. Okay, so there it is, operating the SA-31. So operation session went pretty smooth. There was a couple little hiccups you may or may not have noticed. I got a real dirty track under that bridge. I got to pull that out and clean it. But I was kind of just pushing through it. Also, one of the switches would give me a little, the points were picking the locomotive, so I was having a little issues with that. Otherwise, the session went really well. I took the time beforehand to get my cars blocked out, so I knew which group of cars were going where. And I put that Prestone group on the end because I knew it was going to be turning around. So it kind of set my train up just to make it go a little easier. So I like doing this pre-blocking before we get down to we're going to switch. And from what I'm understanding, that's what the real railroaders do anyway. Okay, so the session wasn't too bad. It's actually 4 hours on the fast clock. Actually, I had to take a 5-minute restroom break, so that kind of added to the time on the fast clock. So 4 hours down in Freehold, that gives us a good 4 hours left on our shift to get back to Browns. And we're kind of right around the mark because don't forget, real soon we're going to be putting in Englishtown down there. So we may have some work to do at Englishtown on the way back. So I think this time period here is working out really well. So that's just something to consider for the future because we'll be making those changes soon. Okay, so that's going to put a wrap on this ops video. I'm going to get the SA-31 heading back to Browns so they can clear the main. And next time, we're going to do a dual session. I'm going to run two trains. I'm going to run the SA-37 Extra down to Clayton, and we're going to do the SA-35. So we're going to experiment with using multiple Form Ds at once. So this will be a first for me, so you guys can follow along, and hopefully you can pick up some tips too. So I hope you guys enjoyed following along with this. If you like this video and you're a first-time viewer, please subscribe to the channel because we're going to be doing a lot of ops together. So, all right, that's all I have for you this time. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.